So in this video, I want to show you or tell you actually how you can grow your KDP business from 0 to 100K and why, or actually what is keeping you from reaching that goal. Hi, my name is Cindy and I have been able to create and grow my KDP business to over 7 figures. And along the way, I've also made a lot of mistakes, but I've also learned a lot of things. So the first thing that is absolutely necessary for you to grow your KDP to whether it's 5K, 10K, 20K a month, number one thing is always research. And I'm always talking about this. And I still see people trying to push their quote unquote great idea to the market and they expect to make millions. They literally say, I'm going to make millions because I am a pioneer in this. Well, you can never actually sell anything that doesn't already have a demand. And that obviously applies to any business, not just KDP. So if you have actually played around with any other kind of e-commerce or online business, or even any traditional brick and mortar business, you know that you can't sell anything unless people are eagerly searching for it and buying it. So the only way that you can really try to be special or unique is really how you package it. But the main product needs to be researched well. It has to have a demand. You have to make sure you've validated that it has demand. Which brings me to the statement that I hear a lot of people make, which is, I'm going to be the first. I'll be the first to do this. So, and this is what I hear a lot of people say. They think that if they're the first in the market, then they're gonna crush it. Well, here is an example I want to show you. Apple did not actually come up with cell phones. And we know how successful iPhones are right now, right? So remember back in the early 2000s when there was Motorola and Nokia's and all of those. And I remember because that's what my first phone was, Nokia. And yes, they've actually evolved obviously over time, and very quickly. But it was actually Steve Jobs who saw the potential in repackaging and improving how generally cell phones generally, and then turning it into a smartphone. So he didn't actually come up with the idea of a smartphone or a cell phone, but he did see how much potential there was in it, and he repackaged it. He made it better. He made it extremely better. And that's how it worked, and that's how he crushed the industry. So using that example, don't be the first. Don't try to be the first, but try to be the best. I will tell you why you shouldn't try to be the first. Well, mainly because it's a very dangerous plan. It's risky. And we don't take, I mean, business does take risks, but very well calculated risk. This is not a risk. This is like a gamble. If you want to give it a try and it won't cost you anything, or even if it does cost you something and you're totally willing to completely lose everything that you put into it, then maybe you could go for it. But you're going into it like a gamble. The likelihood that it will sell is almost zero. Business is not a place where you want to gamble. And even if you create something yourself and you don't spend any money outsourcing, your time is still valuable. You could have actually spent that time creating something that does have a market and will sell. So look for books that have competition, things that are already selling, and you see how you can make yours better. So the next thing is focus on one niche. So now that you actually found a niche or found a subject matter, focus on that. Now, another thing is that, and that kind of falls into the branding. So, and I don't mean by creating a style or a logo or any of that kind of stuff, even though obviously that would help and that's good. I'm talking about creating books that are all related in some way. So you're not all over the place. You're not creating like a cookbook here and like a crossword puzzle here, and then, you know, how to fish book here, and all these different types of subject matters and all these different niches. Even if you did research and you found out that they're all really, really good and they all have so much potential, they might have potential, but you can't do all of them. So the important thing is if you try to spread yourself thin, this will actually stunt your growth, because now you have a variety of completely different audiences or customers. And unless they all have something in common, like a real common thread, and it can't be something as simple as just like maybe their age group. No, it has to be a little bit more deeper than that. Then you're not going to be able to sell. You want to have your books all targeted to the same group of people. The people who bought your first book will probably want to buy your second and your third. And especially if you did a good job, they would prefer to buy from you than to buy from someone else who is going to be your competition, because they already know you. And we all tend to do that. We all want to buy something from the ones that we know. It's just, we're familiar with them. We're more comfortable. So your next book, you won't be launching from scratch. You will already have an audience. And every time you create a book, which is all in the same subject matter, it should be easier and easier because you already have an audience, and because your audience is growing. It should be growing if you're creating more and more books. So focus on how to build your audience and know who your audience is. So that is the second point. This brings me to the third thing, which is, I know that all this takes time. There are so many pieces to being successful in KDP that you might feel like you don't have the time. You need to spend time creating a high quality book. You need to spend time researching. You need to spend time building an audience. Like we just said, you need to spend time connecting to your audience. You need to spend time, just doing all of these things. And no one really talks about this, but that's the reality. That it's so much, it could be so much work, which brings me to outsourcing and hiring help. Now, I want you just to think about it, even if you are not doing it or you can't do it now. So if you are on a low budget, you may have to do everything yourself at first, and that's okay. We've all done that. But to really keep things moving, you need to find out what it is that you can actually outsource at some point. So really, you can outsource everything, or almost every part of the publishing journey, except for the research. In my opinion, that is the brains of the whole operation. I would not outsource the research part, unless of course you train someone to do exactly what you do, then I probably would, outsource it. But everything else, at least you can outsource everything else. Anything that you're not good at, or you just really don't like to do, those are things that I would outsource, at least outsource first. If you want to stick to things that you love to do just because you actually love doing it, then just do that. And the two places that I have personally used, and a lot of others have used too, is Upwork and Fiverr. I think those are the best places to hire good quality, help, and at a good price, pretty cheap actually. So this brings me to, last thing you want to do is don't add unnecessary tasks. I advise you to not think about spreading yourself across so many different platforms, whether it's social media platforms or even print on demand platforms, where you think I'm gonna sell the book here and here and here, and if it requires you to do a little extra work because you have to reformat, because you have to do all this stuff, I would still focus just on KDP. And it is good to help your business to grow, obviously, if you grow to other platforms. But when you're starting and you're just starting this journey, if you start putting too much on your plate, because I do see this happen too, it will result in overwhelm, overload, and burnout. Then you will feel like you just can't do anything. It's just too much to do. So I would focus on books on your niche, just one particular niche. Don't spread thin onto different niches. Focus on just publishing your book on KDP. Don't focus on other places. Focus on connecting to that one audience that you are trying to reach. Spend time with them. If you're going to have to spend time doing something, that would be a good place to spend time. Spend time creating content or getting to know them or asking questions or growing that audience. Just spend time on that, and only really spend time on how you can improve the content for them. So once things get rolling, you could think about spreading to other platforms and spreading to other social media platforms, and maybe reuse your content, but I would still focus on just one in the beginning. And then you can even hire help after that to, help manage all that. But if you want to reach a point where you could stand on your feet, you actually need to reach a point where you could stand on your feet first, and you want to see the sales coming in so that you can reinvest into your business. You'll reinvest into advertising, reinvest in your business, in hiring help, and reinvest in yourself. So to recap, first, we're going to make sure we have done proper research and find out if there's a actual demand for the niche that we want to get into. Then we want to focus on that one niche. We're not going to try a whole bunch of different niches. You've already done your research and you found this niche and it aligns with you and your principles and your belief and what you like. We focus on that. We're going to focus on repackaging it in a way so that you are special, different, unique, but not finding something new. So we're not finding something new. We're finding something that is already proven to sell, but we want to make ours different in some way. And then we're going to focus on our audience. We focus on growing our audience. And then after that, we could think about hiring help, which I do hope that you reach a point where you will need to hire help because you will have so much going on, and you don't need to, create your own book or create your own book cover, or, you can have someone manage your social media content. You can do all of that stuff. So that is the goal that you want to have. I'm sure that's what my goal was, and a lot of people have that goal, that you just really want to have more free time. You don't want to create a business that will burn you out in the end. So I hope this video helps, and I hope it gives you an idea on how to just to jumpstart your ideas, so you know how to move in the direction to start making your 6 and 7 figures, so you're not making these mistakes. And if you like this video, leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.